Hello, everyone. Well, it's a little unusual, but we're running Prime Minister's questions and a follow-up final episode of the Mueller report on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show, as well as on my channel on TrupsLP. Um, and with me, as always, I have Omegon. Say hi, Omegon.
Hello, Omegon.
How is Omegon today?
Oh, miserable as always. How's Trups?
I'm doing quite all right, actually.
Bastard.
Yes, I do apologize for my doing okay.
You should be ashamed.
Yes, I'm
hello,
terribly ashamed.
chat on YouTube. I did notice a few people already there. Hello. Hope you're all okay. So what's Trups been up to?
Oh, Trups really hasn't been doing a whole lot, honestly.
You lucky. Actually, I've had 2 days off, so yeah. I was supposed to do things today, but I spent the entire day waiting for a parcel to arrive here that was meant to go to my sister's new place.
Oh, yes, you told me that she moved.
Yeah, but she still has parcels arriving here. It's irritating.
Understood.
Never mind.
Got any interesting drinks today?
I forgot to get anything. My desk is bare. I could reach over and grab something, but it would take like 3 seconds to get it. I think that's 3 seconds.
That's all right. So what I've got going on, I'll just say for the chat, is I've got a liquor store down the street, and a very kind Irish lady runs it. She offered my fiance for her 21st birthday last year free little samplers. What do you guys call the samplers? Because I've heard mixed things.
We call them samplers.
Okay, somebody from like north.
What did they say?
Northeast coast.
Drams.
Northeast coast.
Drams.
Drams, and also I heard of tits.
No, they're called drams. No one says tits.
No, that's fucking Boston. Nothing happens correct in Boston.
You were played. It's not a real thing.
I mean, that's fine.
Yes, drams are good. I get some. I used to get some long ago from a site called masterofmalt.com. Very handy for testing out whiskies I've never had.
But I've got 2 moonshines here.
Which flavors?
So one of them is a dynamite cinnamon moonshine, and this one is an apple pie moonshine.
I have apple pie moonshine. I could do some. Give me a sec. I can get it.
Ooh, what brand? I wonder if we have the same.
I think it's Old Smoky.
Yes, perfect.
Hang on, I've got earphones in, so I can't hear you now. Nope, your butterscotch. Your blackberry.
Hello, heretical cabbage. Hello, Joe.
I have about 6 moonshines, and one is the apple pie.
That's amazing.
I bought them off Amazon.
Oh, that's... You know, I never think to do that.
I had to buy the pourers separately because you don't get them otherwise.
But yes, actually, we have the same. We both have Old Smoky.
You should try the butterscotch one, by the way, because that is quite nice.
Ooh. Heretical cabbage in my chat is enjoying a large glass of mead. Homemade or...
I made mead before. That is a lot of fun to make.
I have a friend who is a Norse pagan. She's the sweetest woman ever, and if you go to her house, she will always feed you.
That's nice.
She's a larger lady, but she makes homemade mead. And in the state that I live in, you're allowed to make 2 gallons for each adult in the house if under 2.
Right.
If under 2 are 21. But if you have over 2 people who are over 21 living in your house, you can make unlimited amounts under 500 gallons.
That's a lot of mead.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know what to say to that.
It's just a little tidbit.
I would get a shot for this, but instead all I've got is this monstrous tiki, which Ash in the chat would moan that I haven't used yet, so now I'll just use it for a shot of this. There you go. It's a bit oversized, but fuck it.
Ooh, that's so good.
You can get pretty smashed on this stuff. I've got one.
Yes, I can taste it. I can taste how much that's gonna hit.
Thing is, that's only 20%. The one I've got that's the most brutal one is something lightning. It's like 65%. It's quite potent. One shot, and you need to take a few minutes.
Yeah, it hits you hard, doesn't it?
A little, yes.
No, my fiance just tried it behind me, and she's dying a little bit. Article Cabbage says, artisanal small batch made by a pagan friend of mine. Yeah. Nice. I don't know why, but pagans make good booze.
They know what they're doing. Good for them.
Yes. So, what do you want to touch on today? Because there's not really much left of the Mueller thing.
Well, I haven't actually got the Mueller report on the screen. We could talk about it, but I haven't got it.
Oh, that's all right. The only thing that I really had about it was how the Democratic establishment has basically been falling over themselves about AG William Barr.
Oh yeah, they want him to be is it forced to resign or something?
Yep, forced to resign, impeach, anything.
I've seen that, along with hashtag trending impeach 45.
Yeah, that's Trump. He's the 45th president.
I know. I looked at it, and some were just saying how long till it's trending. Others saying that the Mueller report was damning enough that he needs to go. Okay.
Yeah, but clearly not.
Well, yeah, I don't see how it is. Meg, can you move closer to your mic? Your volume's a bit low. Is this better? If it's not, I'm going to be quite irritated. I hate having it so close because I breathe through my nose, but if I breathe loud enough, it's going to sound really bad.
Remind me after the stream to send you the arm that I use. It clips onto my desk.
I use
I have it hanging over me.
I'm using a boom arm for the snowball. I need the shock mount for the Yeti, but that's quite expensive. So
yeah, I'll show you the one that I have that works with the Yeti.
Yeah,
it's an arm that hangs it upside down.
Yeah, the Yeti. I should be using it for this, to be honest. The only reason I haven't plugged it back in was because I used this last night, and I never bothered to just re-plug the Yeti back in.
Oh, that's right, and you need it for the vibrating.
Yeah, the shock mount. I need it for that.
Now I understand. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pain because the shock mount on this doesn't pick. It doesn't. You can't hear the vibration or feel it with the snowball's shock mount, which is this gigantic disc. Because snowballs, it's a ball. It sits inside a flying saucer.
I understand.
Quill, the Omegon is finally a Disney princess. I've been a Disney princess for the last few weeks. Where have you been?
Yes.
Anyway,
we'll have to get a regular version of your chibi avatar. But I know Pencil has been a little swamped.
No, she's working on other things for me. It's fine.
She's working on things for me too, so that's why I said she's swamped.
Fair enough. Did you want to dive into PMQs, or do you want to talk about Joe Biden first?
We can talk about Joe Biden, because I imagine PMQ is going to take up a majority of the time.
Okay, if I go and get the video, though. Give me a second. Because I forgot to... if I put this, how do I close this and then put a new one? Explore? Yes, let's do that. Let's do this. Aha. Let's take a second.
Quilled. For some reason, YouTube does not give me notifications for these streams. Well, you should hit that notification bell.
That was loud. My apologies. Okay. Right, so I will switch over here. This is Joe Biden for president. America is an idea. And if I give you playback control, I think can you pause and press play on that?
I can.
Then do it.
But right now, I have it streaming on my end as well.
So you just want me to do... Okay, because if you need it paused, you're going to have to tell me.
Right. I think you'll be all right. I just need to turn that. So,
okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Charlottesville, Virginia is home to the author of one of the great documents in human history, We know it by heart. We hold these truths to be self-evident,
So loud.
that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. We've heard it so often, it's almost a cliche, but it's who we are. We have...
It feels very strange to see him talk from the heart when he could be wrapping his arms around someone's shoulder and kissing their neck.
It's very weird that you paused on this frame in particular because it looks like he doesn't have any irises.
Oh god, they're very black, aren't they?
Yeah, it looks like he's about to, invert himself and walk up the stairs while backwards chanting.
He also looks like he looks younger than he is, but that doesn't matter.
Movie makeup.
always lived up.
Sorry?
I said movie makeup.
I thought you meant Movie Maker. That was the software he used to edit this.
Probably.
Fair enough. Campaign finance must be a nightmare for him.
To these ideals. Jefferson himself didn't, but we have never before walked away from them. Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years.
Wait, is he about to use Charlottesville where one retard did something stupid to make a grand point?
And also Charlottesville in the sense that it started out as and ended as a white nationalist rally, which is demonstrably false.
It wasn't, hang on, what was it again? I've forgotten.
Charlottesville originally started out as just a conservative rally, and then it was marched on by the Unite the Right.
Yeah, because they had the permits to be there, whereas
Right.
Unite the Right and Antifa did not.
It was the people who the Unite the Right people drew in.
Right, my mistake, sorry.
Unite the Right essentially was the same conservative group. It just, I try to differentiate between those two because people have basically conflated the two.
Oh, right, my mistake then. Easy.
No, it's all right.
Right, I'll continue this.
It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their
That's a
crazed
new
faces.
flag. You see how new that Nazi flag was?
I do want to... This is a bit intellectually dishonest, conflating those who are carrying those flags with these people here.
Well, it's not even that. It's conflating. If we go back like fucking 5-10 seconds, right? Conflating the person holding the Confederate flag with the person wearing the Nazi flag. The only person who you can say those are one and the same for is that asshole wearing that green shirt.
Yeah, the one wearing the green shirt looks like he's got a Confederate flag but green on his back.
Yeah. Do you honestly think that old lady is thinking to herself, "Oh, the black people, they're coming into my place and they're going to ruin my neighborhood"?
In that accent, can you please say, "They took our jobs"?
They took our jobs.
Perfect.
The open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same
You will not erase us. That was the white nationalist thing, wasn't it?
It was either "you will not erase us," "you will not replace us," or some people have said "Jews will not replace us," but that sounds more like a Democrat position.
I never heard that one. I thought my first instinct was "you will not replace us." And this all stems from that alienating people because others introduced irrelevant factors into politics that didn't need to be there. Yes, there are within communities issues. But then when you start to alienate, for example, white people, the pushback is going to be that white people are eventually going to be pushed against the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
This is a consequence for continually demonizing people. I'm sure many of these people would not ordinarily have gone down this path had they been allowed to live their life without feeling like they are the bad guy.
Or like that they were sitting home and then told one day that everything that they were ever doing was wrong, and that they have become the monster that they didn't even know existed.
Okay. I remember when I first saw the pictures for this. made me very uncomfortable. Oh crap. Our cat's gay. If only I had more to give. Take this offering so we can hear your glorious voice more clear. Oh god. Thank you very much for your donation. It's very generous of you. But this kind of stuff makes me quite uncomfortable. Because it is... I can understand why people have that position of, this feels racist. If that makes sense. Like, it does.
Yes.
But I kind of also understand why these people are doing it.
Right.
And it makes me feel really odd.
Okay, so it's a weird kind of double think, because if you imagine that they believe that the affirmative action and the pushing of SJW politics is racist and bigoted and sexist in and of itself, then one would think that you should speak to them in a language they understand, which is to use imagery like this that is reminiscent of a day gone by.
It certainly gets people talking, and I remember the press for this. I also remember how quickly everyone wants to pounce on the white nationalists for that one retard.
Yeah.
It's just... it's why I've never liked blaming entire movements for individuals' individuals' actions. While they may have been influenced by that movement, it's still the individual's responsibility, not the movement.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, like, the individuals who are standing there with torches, they made the individual decision to march with the group and hold a torch. That was it. They did not make a decision to get behind the wheel of a Dodge and run through a crowd of people.
That guy was a fucking virgin. I'm going to press play on this video. By the way, the inspirational music behind it, it's not as cringe as I expected because I have not watched this, but it is quite loud and it bugs me.
Anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. And they were met by a courageous group of Americans. And a violent clash ensued. And a brave young woman lost her life. And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this.
Was this when he said he blamed both sides?
Yep.
Yep. Sorry, go on.
This is when he says that there were fine people on both sides.
Well, to be fair, we know who instigated the initial violence.
Well, yes, and also, right before he said that, he said, I don't care about the white nationalists, I don't care about the racists, screw them. But there were fine people on both sides of this.
But as
both
always,
sides were to blame.
It's always that. It's always a case that we need the soundbite. We'll use that. Forgetful 4. You know that guy that ran over the woman did it because he was being chased by Antifa carrying a gun. Is that true?
Yes, I do.
I didn't know that.
He was being threatened in his car. People were actually beating on his vehicle.
So it wasn't oh wow, that changes the context. That's quite important.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that. I just thought he was a twat.
No, well, I mean, he is, but, because he didn't, not aim for people.
No, yeah, I get that.
But, it still wasn't good, but he did, you could give him at least the smallest benefit of the doubt, but take it away immediately.
Oh, take it away the moment you realise he was aiming for people. Yeah, I get you. Okay, I'm going to press play again.
He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides? With those words, the President of the United States assigned a moral equivalence between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand.
Spreading hate is subjective. Just going to add that. Press play again, fuck it.
Against it. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. I wrote at the time that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Well, that's even more true today. We are.
Does he believe that that's some kind of profound statement?
He probably does, yeah.
I'm sorry, but the current version of the soul of the nation you're fighting for led to those being there in the first place.
Yeah, that is the irony, isn't it? That the SJW politics was what led to that powder keg.
It's the same protest vote mentality of, you pushed us away, fine, fuck it then. Live with the consequences. I'm now going to vote for the other people to fuck with you.
It's really funny to look at how things have continued.
And the complete lack of self-reflection is astonishing.
Oh, self-awareness is non-existent.
Honestly, perhaps they should invest in some hindsight. Anyway.
Too many skill points.
My bad.
Go ahead.
Are in the battle for the soul of this nation. I believe history will look back on 4 years of this president and all he embraces as an aberrant moment in time. But if we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation, who we are, and I cannot stand by and watch that happen.
Then perhaps you should look to your own party and address the very fact that you haven't got a single legitimate candidate because you're all busy playing whatever politics it is you're playing. It looks like party politics and retard politics at best.
Oh yeah, but that's part of that video that I had sent to you before we had started with Swalwell.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. All right.
The core values of this nation, our standing in the world, our very democracy, everything that has made America America is at stake. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. Folks, America's an idea that's stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It gives hope to the most desperate people on earth. It guarantees that everyone is treated with dignity and gives hate no safe harbor. It instills in every person in this country the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve if you work at it. That's what we believe. And above all else, that's what's at stake in this election. We can't forget what happened in Charlottesville. Even more important, we have to remember who we are. This is America.
Remember.
My skin is crawling. Yeah, my skin's crawling. Maybe you should have
Simba,
touched Maybe you should have touched
look
somebody.
within yourself.
Jesus Christ. Maybe you should have touched somebody.
You know what's funny? America isn't an idea. America is a nation. Technically, America is a country.
Joe Biden's hair scented room freshener. Thank you for the $2.
Ew.
Yeah. Did you want to touch on the AG William Barr video or not?
Yes, because it plays into this party that Joe Biden is alleging to.
Yep. I'm just going to pull the video
represent.
Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
Pause.
So
no, stop it. The video press play.
He's a rep from California, and he goes on CNN a lot.
Okay,
and he's a fucking idiot.
Okay, I just got to pull the chat up so I can see it. Thank you, Cat's Gay, by the way, for that $2 donation. I really appreciate it. So this, I've not seen this either. I'll just press play, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll let you tell me when to stop, okay?
Okay.
You can either be the Attorney General of the United States or you can be the President's lawyer. You can't be both. And Attorney General Barr has shown in the last few months that he's more interested in protecting Donald Trump and not protecting America's interests. First, he never should have been confirmed. He sent a letter soliciting for this job saying that no president could obstruct justice, and that's clearly not the case.
Okay. So we know damn well that he did not get indicted on obstruction charges based on Mueller's own words. So already this one comment that he's saying, yeah, no president should obstruct justice. Cool. No president did yet.
There was, I remember seeing on Twitter when the report first came out, many said the one thing they took away was that he did kind of a little obstruct, but he didn't actually obstruct.
He tried to, but failed.
There we go then. He didn't do it then.
Yep, correct. He did not accomplish it. Moving on.
Mm-hmm. Second, once he was confirmed, he should have recused himself because of his prior views about the Mueller investigation. Third, it was
Okay, so that's not why somebody would recuse themselves. Somebody would recuse themselves based on personal interests, financial interests, in a certain situation. Like, if somebody were to be too close to an investigation, then they would recuse themselves to give the investigation a fair shot. But to be fair, Barr didn't have anything to do with the actual investigation itself. That was all Mueller.
Mm-hmm.
Barr just basically was your messenger boy, and this is a clear-cut case of don't shoot the messenger. But they really, really want to.
Apparently so.
All right, go ahead.
Appropriate to accuse the intelligence community of spying when they were using legally authorized surveillance methods on the Trump campaign. And
Authorized by the Obama DOJ, which has actually recently been indicted for espionage. Remember that Obama aide who got indicted?
Yes, I remember you telling me recently while you were laughing about it.
Yes, because he was wiretapping Trump administration.
Lol. Someone in my chat, Eric Duke Nukem Swalwell, give up your guns because we have tactical nuclear weapons.
Yeah, that was one of his comments. He said that the idea that the people would hold arms in order to rebel against a tyrannical government made no sense because we would just, this is him as a senator going, we would just nuke you.
Ooh.
I'm like, you would nuke your own country, your own citizens.
Ooh.
What are you, a psychopath?
The thought process that went behind that must have been very short.
Oh my god, like he thought of like the best Twitter response and then forgot that he was a fucking congressman.
Apparently so.
you read the Mueller report, they had every reason in the world to look at what the Trump campaign was doing. And fourth, he completely mischaracterized the Mueller report. I've lost...
Okay.
Sorry.
He said that they had every reason to, but the report showed all they could show was that Trump had business dealings in Russia, Moscow of course, and that he knew people that were Russian.
Yeah.
That does not give any valid reason for, investigating at all. My apologies, carry on.
Yeah, I was like, oh god.
Fourth, he completely mischaracterized the Mueller report. I've lost faith in him. I think the American people have lost confidence that he can be our Attorney General. He should resign.
Right.
All right, that's a great opinion there, Swalwell, and I'll chalk that up to I'm going to nuke my own people and disregard it.
Right. That was rather special, to be fair.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can take it back.
I've taken it back. I have my power. I'm just going to pull up PMQs because that's next. Do you think Barr will? Oh, shit! Sorry. Do you think?
Order.
Yeah. Do you think Barr should resign?
No. People have told the naysayers over and over again that Barr believes in the letter of the law and will execute it as such.
We talked about this last week, and
right, to assume otherwise would be a gross misrepresentation and frankly offensive.
Yes, but that's what
to the person's entire political.
But that's what someone will do instead, because they'll then want to blame someone. There's that desire when you don't get your own way to either make yourself get some kind of closure by blaming someone, or simply blame someone to take all the heat off you and put it on them. Because this whole report's been a massive fail.
Correct.
Therefore, somebody needs to be blamed for it. If it's not going to be Mueller, Barr's right there. So let's just blame him instead. Oh, apple pie tastes good.
It can't be Mueller, it can't be Trump, because Trump has basically all but been exonerated, and so Barr is the one to go against. I mean, think about it. If let's say it was up to the Supreme Court to decide, then they'd bitch at Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it had Trump's label on it, it's wrong.
Yep, but Trump, by the way, he's the exception to this. He can be blamed for everything and anything cause.
And he'll take it and throw it right back.
He'll definitely do that if he gets his second term. If he gets his second
without
term,
a doubt.
If he does, it doesn't undermine...
He will get it, just because of... They have literally just, like, taken a fistful of dice, right? Each die is a representative of another candidate. And they threw it all down there. And they look at the DM and they go, all right, What do I get? And the DM looks down at the dice and laughs.
Yeah, they got a 2 on a fucking courage roll or something, or charisma.
Yeah. Oof, that was tabletop's not as much as you're interested in, huh?
It is in Warhammer, but not in D&D. I haven't played it. I haven't played that in about.
Oh, that's what a courage roll is. Oh,
Yeah, you use it in Lord of the Rings. I haven't. I know that Laura failed a charisma roll on D&D by rolling a 2.
Oh,
that was funny.
I'm sorry, Laura.
I haven't played in about 7 or 8 years, so I'm not as knowledgeable. But tabletop war games, yes. Courage, Lord of the Rings, or is it Will now?
I got you.
Doesn't matter. With Biden's comment about if Trump won a second term, Trump obviously is not. He was never meant to be president in the first place. Let's face it.
One could say that, yeah.
He was never meant to be. But he did because of how hard people pushed people away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, and it pushed him in that direction. He didn't get the popular vote. No denying that. He got the electoral college because he appealed to the very states that got alienated. And yes, some may be racist. I'm not going to deny that. There is a chance. Because there's no way your country doesn't have any racism in it. Much like my country, there is racism on any race. Mm-hmm. There's no denying.
But it's not as widespread as people say. And to Funbro Pyro in my chat, what have you missed? You've missed Joe Biden's announcement of his presidency and Eric Swalwell making an ass of himself about William Barr. And now we're going into PMQs.
Hello, so psyched. And Quilt says, Trups, sorry for assuming your nationality, but have Trump gotten more popular with the people since he became president?
Yes.
There you go. Arcat's gay. What is the least woke, most un-PC part of the UK? Most people just call it the sticks. I think you have it over in your country as well. We just call it the most. I think it depends on the age range, because generally the most unwoke would be the oldest, and that would be some of the more rural villages. Some villages, not all. But I don't actually know what the most racist area of this country would be.
So our least woke, most un-PC part of the UK would be, or in the US, would be, oh God, it would be a rural state, but I couldn't tell you in particular which one, because the way we gerrymander all of our districts, almost every state has its massive blue block in inner cities.
I'm going to have a quick look on Google, see if it comes up. Least politically correct part of the UK. No, articles pretty much all say UK is governed by political correctness. So I couldn't answer the question. I live in Kent, and the only real issue people have in this county is the vast number of migrants that come here. But then, because of when they came here, they were able to stay here and leech off the benefit system. Some did work, but some did not. Those that did not pissed off those that were local.
I guess the opposite could be true. So, asking the question differently, according to Oklahoma News, which took a look at tweets between June 2014 and December 2015, the worst offenders of derogatory and prejudiced language in United States were Louisiana, Nevada, and Texas as 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. In the chat, Quilled, can Trups be counted as a black man? Yes, because of his avatar, and not because he's actually Latina. MC, most racists are all districts in LA and San Francisco. Is SF San Francisco? SF? I'm not going to say whether or not that's true. I do think it depends on who's being racist to who, and what type of political correctness within which racial community, because there are some of those as well. It becomes a very complex question. One which this is why I don't know what could count as politically or not politically correct, because it depends on which communities. For example, in heavily Muslim communities, in some Muslim communities, they are very much anti, and then you can name other communities, and that would include things like animal abuse, more prevalent within certain communities, not necessarily all Muslim communities. It depends. It's so difficult to answer that question.
Heretical Cabbage in my chat says Birkenhead is the least woke.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Birkenhead. Fucking hell. I keep forgetting to nuke it. I'll add it to the list with King's Lynn and Guernsey.
Ooh, Fun Bro goes somewhere in Nevada. Cue Madness Combat intro. Ooh, Madness Combat. That is an old meme, sir, and I appreciate you for knowing that.
That's a good meme. I like that. So I guess I can't answer the question. PMQs, for those who are interested now in that, the reason we're doing it today is because I forgot it. I didn't realise it would be on. You'll tell from the chamber when I switch tabs. It's not even full. Normally it's packed. That's because Dave Liddington and Emily Thornberry and some stand-in for the SMP are doing the crap. And it's Trump comes up, so I figured Trups would enjoy this.
Woohoo!
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So let's dive into. Oh, hang on. DNC candidate, 40k equivalents. 2 bloodletters, 1 Zinch flamer, 3 confused cultists, and a horde of cancerous nuglings. It's a shame you couldn't add. What's his name? Not Fatal, the decayed one. I've got his model as well. He's a Nurgle champion. Fuck it. Names.
I don't know 40k enough, but at least the God Emperor is still on his throne.
Well, he's mentioned 40k equivalents. Bloodletters, Zinch flamers, confused cultists, and Nurglings are all actually also feature in Warhammer, the fantasy version as well, because the Chaos Gods transfer from both games. Anyway.
Welcome to Clown World, indeed.
Yeah. Let's start.
Questions to the Prime Minister.
Who isn't here?
Jack Brereton.
Number 1, Mr. Speaker.
This fucking idiot has such a long title.
Mr. Speaker, I've been asked to reply on behalf of my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, who is today in Belfast attending the funeral of Lyra McKee.
The funeral thing was quite interesting because, while it is tragic what happened, many party leaders went there, and that's great. You've got to keep up appearances, and certainly with the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement and all that, it's important. The priest, though, of the funeral, not Mortarian, no, that's the Primarch. No, different character, smaller, he collected parts and made diseases from them. Doesn't matter. Oh, Festus, maybe. But they all went. The priest at the funeral was not best impressed with them all being there, and decided to take the opportunity to actually publicly chastise them all for allowing that to happen because of the handling of what they've been doing that led to it. Which also led
Somebody's got to take fucking responsibility.
I'm just going to throw it in now. Do you remember the actor who played Gimli?
Yes, I do.
He was on Question Time recently, and he took the opportunity to also have an absolute go at all the politicians on the panel for fucking up Brexit. Because some are arguing for second vote, some are arguing for confirmatory vote, some are arguing for no deal, and some are arguing for revoke. And he simply said, you're all attempting to betray democracy.
I knew I loved the dwarf.
He got hit. I think it's an irony to it because obviously he's a giant.
Right.
He got a standing ovation for that. John Rhys Davis, thank you. But he went nuts on him. I was loving it. If you didn't get hard watching it, you're special. Anyway.
This was a brutal, cowardly murder of a young woman, a brilliant journalist who represented all that is good in Northern Ireland. And those responsible for her murder have nothing to offer anyone from any community in Northern Ireland. And I'm sure that members right across the House will want to join me in sending our deepest sympathies to Lyra's partner, Sarah, her other family members and her friends. And as her family have asked, we today say that we stand with Lyra. Mr. Speaker, the attack on 3 Christian churches and 3 hotels in Sri Lanka on Easter Sunday was a horrific and cowardly act. And the House...
Did you notice he actually said Christian? I'm surprised.
He's not American, so...
House will know that a number of British citizens were also killed. Yesterday, my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, spoke to the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka to send her condolences to all affected and to offer his government any assistance they may need. I'm sure the whole House will not only want to join me in sending sympathies and condolences to all who were caught up in that horrific attack, but I hope too that the House will perhaps reflect on the fact that that atrocity committed on Easter Sunday came just a couple of weeks after an equally brutal
don't you dare.
appalling attack in Christchurch, New Zealand,
Fuck off.
upon the Muslim community worshipping there. And as we
fuck.
stand today between...
Nah, fuck off. No. You're such a retard.
How dare you fucking just... Alright. When you have a terrible event, it is a terrible event regardless of anything else that's around you. When you have a terrible event, it is a terrible event, and that is the end of it. That done, period. And let us not forget that other bad things have happened. Oh, shut the fuck up.
I part of me thought perhaps he was doing it to reference that maybe this was the motivation. I'm not laughing because it's funny, by the way. I'm laughing because this is so fucking stupid. It's infuriating.
Agreed.
What happened in Christchurch was fucking awful, and how New Zealand handled it was precious. This event in Sri Lanka should not be then palmed off or equated to Christchurch. No, they're two totally separate incidents involving two different faiths that have been attacked by idiots. Those idiots. Sorry, go on.
And two very, very different forms of organization.
Exactly. It really was, wasn't it? It was the one retard in Christchurch, and then it was a middle class privileged suicide bomber.
It was a bunch of suicide bombers.
Yeah.
One of the bombers' wives.
By the way,
when police came to visit the house,
I've just realised we're doing the same thing. We're now comparing them. We really shouldn't.
No, I know, but like, okay, you brought it up, so all right, if you want to talk about it, let's fucking talk about it. The very difference is what makes it different. Time does not make something more or less relevant.
You're quite right there. I don't know why Beddington felt compelled to bring this up. I shouldn't drop my pen like that. Poor Spider-Man. I'll press play and see how he deals. Oh, hang on. Remember, PewDiePie's responsible for all of this. Thank you, Arkansky. Fucking hell.
Hashtag free Dankula.
Yes, of course.
Easter, and next week the beginning of the solemn month of Ramadan for our Muslim fellow citizens. I hope this will be a time, not just for members, but for all our fellow citizens, of all faiths and of none, to come together and to stand up for the values of mutual respect, tolerance and religious diversity, which embody what is best about our country.
Right. Okay.
Tolerance.
Right. So, I'm not a religious person, but I don't call myself an atheist or agnostic. I just say nothing. Let's go with Jedi. Okay. That
Sure.
seems safe. Fuck it. Use the Force. I'm more than happy to be tolerant of other faiths. My view has always remained with any belief system. I'm okay with it, but the moment you push it down my throat, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yep.
Simple as that. Now, of course, others can escalate and say, well, I've got a suicide jacket. Okay. So, either one of us or both of us are going to die. The difference being, if I survive, I still don't have to listen to your shit. And then others will say, well, I've got guns. Cool. That doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind. The idea of wanting to get people to change their mind by using extreme violence doesn't scare me enough to want to believe what you believe. So why do it in the first place? Is that a bit nihilist?
It also makes no sense to try and convert people who believe in a higher power and a life after to be afraid of death.
I don't understand this mentality of wanting people to fear you to believe you. Because fear is irrational. So why would you want to use irrationality to get someone to believe in what you believe as it is a completely rational state of mind? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Would you like to now talk about tolerance for a second? Fuck's sake.
There's too many layers of irony. I would have to write a thesis,
Really
as
is.
Mr. Carl Benjamin said.
It's just I have this headache forming right in the center of my brain, and I can't scratch it.
I feel that.
It's quite right. It's just righteousness, not about conversion, just to impose power. I don't care for that. In this, I know it's quite right actually, but I just don't care for it. How about you just let me get on with my life, and you keep your faith away from me? I don't believe in your God. Nothing's going to change that. Doing something as bad as what you've been doing. Yeah, no, I still don't believe you. And the difference is, you pussies in Sri Lanka didn't even have the common decency to stick around so we could deal with you in person. You went off thinking you're going to go to your God. No. The bits of you have now been scattered around the land. At best, you're going to become glorified fertilizer.
My favorite quote was actually from Imam Tahiti, and I forgot if I mentioned it last time, but it was, it was the suicide jacket one. If the person who convinced you, if truly blowing yourself up was a path to paradise, the guy who convinced you to do it would have done it first.
Yeah.
Nibbles is what I just read from that Dead Privacy.
I changed his word a little. I wasn't sure where it was going. Anyway, the virtue, by the way, that virtue took a long time to get through, and I do apologise, people. But, yeah. Irony.
Jack Brereton.
You, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to echo those thoughts of sympathy and condolence.
Fuck this shit. We're going to skip.
Town centres
No, shut the fuck up. We're going to skip to Thornbury, who's undoubtedly going to be virtuous for a minute. I do apologise.
Of peaceful worshippers.
Fuck off.
That is a woman with some
sectarian
massive
hatred.
memories.
I'm sorry, what?
I was just looking at it. She got massive tits.
Right.
Sorry. Observations.
I honestly I wasn't... Dear, oh dear, Trups.
My bad.
And last Thursday, we mourned the senseless murder of the brilliant young journalist Lyra McKee, who's...
And can I also...
Right.
Mr.
Where's your first question?
Speaker, can I ask the Minister for the Cabinet Office to tell us what the government is doing to bring her killers to justice and protect Northern Ireland from a return to terror?
This is actually a good question, because it's a genuine concern. However, I would point out that all the government can do is trust that law enforcement will do their damn job. Omegon needs to stop being gay. He needs to understand the importance of tits. I do understand the importance of them. I just thought it was a rather interesting thing to bring up in the middle of a PMQ.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not an MP then.
Indeed. You'd be brought up on sexism charges. And yes, kick V.
Mr. Speaker, can I first very much welcome both the tone and the words of the Right Honourable Lady. And can I also say that I would share her tribute to Billy McNeil, who died on Monday.
Oh dear. Wait, what's going on here? It's paused.
For Celtic. It's a testament to her extraordinary career, during which he also won 31 major trophies as a manager and a player. And I think our thoughts and sympathies are with his family and friends. As the Right Honourable Lady will fully understand, the decisions about criminal investigations in Northern Ireland are a matter for the Police Service of Northern Ireland and for the Independent Public Prosecution Service. We very much hope, as a government, that any member of the public who has information that will lead to Lyra's murderers being brought to justice comes forward, and I am hopeful, given the sense of community solidarity that there has been in Londonderry and in Northern Ireland generally, that information will be forthcoming.
Thornbury.
I thank the Minister for his answer.
There was talk that it was something to do with like the new IRA, and dear God, Trups, what have you done?
What have I done?
The factivist stuff in the chat, dear God.
I didn't do that. I was just commenting on what I saw that I thought was cool.
This is why we need feminism, everyone.
Oh, I'm a second wave sex positive feminist. Do what you want. Be sexy. Be fat. I don't give a shit.
Is it because you're both?
I'm sorry.
Is it because you're both sexy and fat?
I am not fat. I am actually...
Just sexy, huh?
Yeah, I'm just sexy, thanks.
I'm pressing play, fucking hell. Oh, why is it not playing? There we go.
I know he speaks with huge authority and passion on this issue. Reading the statement from the so-called new IRA last week, with its talk of attacking enemy forces and its sincere condolences for Lyra's death, it was a sickening throwback to the days that we thought that we'd left behind 20 years ago. Despicable individuals whose only desire is to turn back the clock and destroy the progress that's been made. So does the Minister for the Cabinet Office agree with me? This is one of the central reasons that we must find an answer to the Northern Irish border question rather than give these evil terrorists the divisions that they crave.
A lot of this can be traced back to the backstop being the original withdrawal agreement. It wasn't the agreement, it was the declaration thing they did December in 2017 or 18. 2017, sorry. Joint report, that's what it was. And it was one of the single stupidest ideas ever put forward. In fact, because of how stupid it was, it is the sole reason we've got to this point. I don't really care for it. As far as I'm concerned, I still stand by the idea that no deal is a better option. Because at this point, all the options being presented, some idea with new technologies, but then not given any indication what the new technology is. And then using incredibly long buzzwords to make something else seem like a good idea, but it's actually still the backstop. It's just nonsense. So I do agree with Mrs. Thornbury that perhaps something should be done about that, although nothing would be done about it.
I actually quite appreciated the way she worded that.
She's not...
It was well placed.
She's not the dumbest. This would certainly be a lot different had Diane Abbott been doing it. But only because Diane Abbott flusters.
She's
a lot.
menace.
It's not that. It's that in debates, she flusters very quickly. Thornbury does not. She's a lot calmer than Corbyn as well. Because I think she can just roll her eyes and then throw sexist jokes back, so she's not so bad at it.
I think that I would draw a distinction between the two. I regard both the issues that the Right Honourable Lady has raised as important, but I don't think that those murderers in Derry were motivated by any thoughts about the border or about customs arrangements, important though those issues are. I think what the Right Honourable Lady said, that I wholly agreed with, was the utter unacceptability of references to police officers in Northern Ireland as if they were somehow a legitimate target. One of the great achievements of the peace-building process in Northern Ireland has been the very difficult and controversial reform of the police service, where you now have young men and women from both unionist and nationalist communities who serve gladly together, upholding law and justice in Northern Ireland. And we should, all of us in this House, continue to send every officer in the PSNI our full support.
You see how cordial this is? It's astonishing.
I could conduct a symphony with his head movements.
Yeah, he's quite quite expressive. You notice that this chamber, as I said, is half empty. It's another reason why there's not much chuntering. At some point, Trump does come up. I can't remember when. I think the SNP bring him up. Something about his visit.
Of course they do.
I believe she does. Emily Thornbury does as well. I believe she does in reference to the state visit, which we will certainly talk about, because this is childish.
I agree entirely with the sentiments expressed by the Honourable Gentleman, but can I bring him back to the issue of the border? Because I agree with the ends that he's trying to achieve, but the fundamental problem remains the means. We all know that his own party and the DUP will not accept the current backstop, that the only way the government plans to avoid that backstop is to deliver a so-called invisible border. But last week, we saw a leaked Home Office presentation stating that, and I quote, "No government worldwide currently has a system in place Current realisation for a technological solution in the UK is 2030. And, they said, there is currently no budget for either a pilot or for the programme itself. So can the Minister tell us, are the Home Office wrong?
Well, I'm not going to comment on sort of alleged leaks from government departments. What I can say to the House is that the government has allocated £20 million to invest in work on alternative measures that would bring benefits in terms of seamless trade, both to the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, but which, if successful, more generally could be applied to give us smart borders on all of the United Kingdom's external borders and perhaps offer us some export opportunities for that technology as well.
This would be a reference to potential trade happening from Ramsgate, which I would like to see because of the job opportunities. I also think this would also then be a reference to possibly having our own versions of autobahns. Having seamless trade would be through the toll booths. A quick check.
Are there two separate governments in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland?
Yes, because the Republic of Ireland is in and of itself a different country.
Okay, so why don't they just basically, for all intents and purposes, the rest of the world, except for Europe, basically just thinks of Ireland as Ireland. Mm-hmm. At least from what I learned in school, they really didn't differentiate a whole lot because it wasn't really relevant to ours.
Because it wasn't really much of a country. It wasn't really devolved too much back then.
Fair enough. But let's for all intents and purposes say that it basically becomes like a North and South Korea. Well, if you're saying you're going to Korea, you could be going to either or.
Yeah.
Why not just make the two leaders work it out in and of itself and then just call the whole place Ireland? And make it kind of like how a state works.
Okay, so this is where the problem arises. Ireland falls under the jurisdiction of the EU. Ireland are members of the EU. That's why. Because they are bound as a member state of that. Unfortunately, the EU is unwilling to compromise on that kind of stuff. And we are bound to create all solutions, not the EU. Because that was in the joint agreement from December 2017. One that we signed up to. I tend to take the stance that the only reason it was all divided was because of the religious wars and the IRA related crap, all that stuff. So Northern Ireland is our property. Well, a part of the United Kingdom, 4 nations, and a bunch of crown dependencies that can all get fucked. Except for the Falklands. But the Northern Ireland thing, it's tricky, and the worst part is that Ireland's government, while open and talking, the controlling government in Northern Ireland, no, they have fundamentally different politics, and they won't talk it out. This is why there has always been so much fighting, because they cannot seem to talk things out.
Got it.
It's weird for something so small, country that is. That's so many problems.
I argue that's probably why it's so important, because it is so small.
It's astonishing how much hassle you can get from it. But because they're members of the EU, we can't do shit. Anyway, I'll press play and see what. I think Trump comes. I think actually it's referencing to Ireland is when she references Trump.
Well, it's interesting what the Minister says, but the Home Office, also says that there are 6 problems with deploying these technological solutions. It's expensive, and there's no budget. 2, it has to operate with 28 different UK government agencies. 3, it needs to operate on both sides of the border. 4, it won't be deliverable until 2030. 5, the government has a poor track record, to say the least, on big tech projects, and no one, 6, in the world has done anything similar. So that, Mr. Speaker, is hardly a recipe for success. The real answer to the Northern Ireland border question is staring the government in the face. 28 months ago, and 2 Brexit secretaries ago, I told the Minister from this dispatch box that the only way to avoid a hard border was staying in a customs union. And, of course, the alignment of all rules and regulations.
I will not support this idea. Just going to state it now. We're not doing a customs union because that means we're staying in the EU, essentially. We can't trade abroad. Can't be done. I want to trade. Okay?
And he indeed himself said 3 years ago, that for anyone to pretend otherwise, he said, flies in the face of reality. That was the truth then, and it remains the truth today, so why will the government just...
Yeah.
His fucking face.
I can't tell what he's thinking.
His face is like, yeah, I said that, but that was totally not what I meant. That's exactly what that face looked like. It was like, yeah, I remember that, but bitch, what are you on about?
It's the equivalent to the couple's argument of, it's not what you said, but how you said it. But for him, it's not how I said it? No.
Let's not wake up to it.
Mr. Speaker, I did say to the Right Honourable Lady in our previous exchange that there is a £20 million budget that has already been earmarked for this work. It is also the case, whatever the Right Honourable Lady may be reading in the newspapers about timetables, that not just the United Kingdom, but the European Union has committed itself to trying to get these alternative measures agreed by 2020. That is not an undertaking, a commitment that the European Commission has entered into lightly and without some thought and analysis about the chances of achieving that. But could I say to the Right Honourable Lady, the solution that she identifies of needing to have a frictionless border on the island of Ireland is what is delivered by the government's withdrawal agreement. Yes. Therefore, what she should be doing is urging her right honourable and honourable friends to vote for what the government is proposing instead of rejecting it and therefore blocking the Brexit which her party's manifesto commits her to.
Before she continues, the current deal, it does, quotes, deliver. But it also then states that we'd negotiate how to fix that border issue so that we weren't permanently stuck with Northern Ireland becoming a third state between us and the EU. It also meant that we would have to abide their rules, the EU's rules, but have no say on if those rules are changed. And if we don't, a committee from us and from them decides how to punish us, if at all. What kind of nonsense is this crap?
I don't know, but he turned on the swagger like 80 times to make that comment back.
Yeah, he felt smug, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and he wouldn't stop fucking turning around looking at his friends like, oh, get a load of this. Get a load of this shit.
Yeah, the peanut gallery like him. And Serene, no, I don't. I don't think her deal will go through.
Thornbury.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we've heard it all before, let's face it. The only point the Minister didn't make this time was that Britain must be able to establish her own international trade agreements. Perhaps he's been listening to Nancy Pelosi last week, who made it clear that if the UK government disrupted the open border in Northern Ireland, we could forget all about a free trade deal with the US.
Remember the other day when I told you they were treating Pelosi as if she was the face of the US?
Yeah,
weird. There it was. What the fuck was that about? There's nothing. It doesn't matter what she thinks.
Yeah, she's one person.
It's
in the House.
She's the Speaker, for fuck's sake.
With over 400 members in there.
Seriously.
Good luck.
So the government is going to spend millions giving Donald Trump the red carpet, golden carriage treatment in June. And maybe the state banquet might even be worth it, so long as he's forced to sit next to Greta Thunberg. Or how about this? If then he has Greta on one side and David Attenborough on the other. That would be 3 hours well spent.
So this now brings up the opportunity to talk about this. If you don't like someone politically, but you know how important it is to get along with them, so then you could either look to change their mind or influence them so that they then start to either become something better, more, or just help you maybe change your mind on something. You don't take the opportunity that has taken 2, maybe 3 years now to get to, i.e. Trump's state visit, as opposed to his working one last time, to then make a political statement by deciding not to go, which is what happened is going to happen in the case of the Speaker John Bercow, and Jeremy Corbyn. Now, I don't care if the Speaker does or not, quite frankly. He doesn't want to let him speak in Parliament. That's fine. With Jeremy Corbyn, though, he's a Prime Minister in waiting, as he calls himself. So surely for somebody who is aspiring to be head of state, head of the government, sorry, not head of state, that's the Queen. Although he probably would want to be the Queen if she was elected. Surely it would make more sense to be there, to talk to him, to tell him to his face you disagree with things he has done. Because at least if you speak to them, either understand their position or possibly change their mind, you're doing more as a politician to, well, be a politician actually, than by simply not turning up at all. And Trump's visit is really important. It really is. And we need to be able to get, some certain discussions out of the way. Certainly when it comes to discussing trade, we need to start talking about it.
Theresa May didn't even appreciate what Trump did for her when he went the first time. When he went the first time, he offered her his own lawyers to try and help negotiate Brexit.
I'll be honest,
and what she ended up doing was negotiating the worst deal in the history of trade deals, as Trump would say.
Wait, was it? I remember that. What I find fascinating is, with the last president, and I believe even the one before, even the two before that, and many more, they were all given state visits quickly. It took longer to get him one, and people are trying to protest him being here by acting like children in the most unparliamentary behaviour possible. Now, if you don't want him to speak at Parliament, a few people have to. I think there are 3 or 4 people that vote on it, so Bercow's voice may get overruled. But the fact is, this is a big deal, and if you want, with our closest ally, to disagree with them, you don't do it by, I don't know, fucking off to McDonald's for the evening instead. You go and tell them to their face you disagree with them. Although based on the number of things that Trump has said, and the things that Corbyn has said in response, or either because of things he has heard Trump has said, he said, she said kind of stuff, it's also important that Corbyn say it, so he then becomes a target for abuse for some of the lies he's been peddling. And they are lies. It's just a shame you can't stand in that room where Thornbury is and simply say, yeah, Corbyn, you're a liar. Because you're not allowed to do that. It's a shame. And I don't understand why it's such a nasty point, a sore point, that Thornbury had to bring up Trump's state visit as a good point to make against money being spent, which is inherently bad and ironic for a party that is renowned for throwing money at things and not thinking of the consequences.
Speaking of throwing money at things, did you know they're trying to make the baby balloon 5 times bigger?
Cool. I look forward to seeing that.
Me too.
I thought it was pretty cool last time. I like the Khan one as well. If they could do a Pelosi one, I'd really appreciate it. And May, of course.
They need to do a Khan one with a giant pig next to it.
Why not? But I'd like to see a May one as well, perhaps, and a Pelosi one. Got to get that.
What if she was the pig?
If you want to put that there, sure. But I would love to see
that.
If they do make it, fantastic. I remember the first one being quite disappointing, actually, in size, but it still looked good. I don't mind if they do fly that, because I know people have said they're going to. I think I don't take issue with protesting, but I think one has to be tactful. Parliamentary related people need to be more tactful with how they protest it, because I think in the position that he's in, Corbyn is the one person who should not be not turning up as a matter of protest, because I think that sets him up to fail if he ever did become PM, because the one person he needs to be able to talk to trade with is the one person he refuses to talk to, because he's apparently a 67-year-old child. Was he 69 now?
Who?
Corbyn. He's edging 70.
Oh, I don't know.
He's edging 70, okay? You can't do this when you're in office. Anyway.
But the truth is, Mr. Speaker, that it will all be a giant waste of taxpayers' money because the US Congress will never agree to a trade deal unless we have a solution for the Irish border that will actually work.
That's not
US
true.
doesn't give a fuck.
That is a lie. An actual lie. And you just said it yourself. Fuck off. I'm going to press play. We may as well finish this.
And this government simply doesn't have one.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it's just 2 short years ago that the Right Honourable Lady said of President Trump, we should welcome the American president. We have to work with him. I just wonder whether something has changed about the US administration or whether something has changed about her own leadership ambitions that causes her to alter.
That's a good point.
I like that everyone was like, fucking like middle school, like, please come down to the principal's office. Ooh.
The peanut gallery like to contribute in meaningful ways.
I love it.
He does have a valid point, and I do think that the 2 years ago Emily Thornberry was quite right. You need to be able to work with people, even if you disagree with them, to either reach mutual ground or change their mind, or you yourself change your mind if you're wrong.
Yeah, true.
Her words in this way now. Which is it? Come on, which is it? The government and the Labour Party, I thought, both wanted to see no tariffs, no quotas, no rules of origin checks, a seamless border on the island of Ireland. Yet 3 times, the Right Honourable Lady and her colleagues have voted against a deal that would deliver those things to which they claim to be committed. It is about time that she put principle and the national interest ahead of party advantage.
Finally, somebody said it.
Yeah, it's about time. I'm actually going to skip ahead because she's boring me. Because we've been going for over an hour, and I want to get to I want to get to Scotland before we finish. Okay, right. So, yeah. Yeah, I know that people are used to the paper fiddler, but unfortunately he's not here. So instead, we've got another member of his party, and she's going to ask questions instead.
Speaker, the SNP would join in saying that we're horrified by the atrocious attacks in Sri Lanka, and the Minister of the Cabinet Office is right that we should, all of us from all religions and none, should be considering religious tolerance and should be ensuring that we champion that. Our thoughts as the funeral commences shortly are with the family and friends of Lyra McKee, and we'd like to make clear that we stand with Lyra. We'd also like to join the celebration of Billy McNeil's life and work, and of course in addition to Celtic, he was previously a manager for Aberdeen.
The seat guy's face.
Mr. Speaker, climate change is the biggest crisis facing the world today.
Looked like he was giving
Even
her
the
the
Environment
weirdest
Secretary has
fucking
admitted
look.
that his government has failed to do enough. Yesterday, he promised that the UK government would take action. Mr. Speaker, this government has spent millions on nuclear power. They've cut support for renewable energy projects, and they've continued to pursue fracking. So does taking action include reversing these damaging policies?
The answer to that is no, by the way.
Hold on. They spent millions on nuclear power.
Mm-hmm.
That is clean energy.
Shh. No, because that's where you're wrong, kiddo. Because there's a risk
God
that they
forbid.
could blow up, and there's a risk with all the toxic waste, and that's bad. Because it's not like we store that somewhere safe. No.
Yes, forgive me. I don't have the politician's engineering knowledge. I just have engineering knowledge.
Yeah, the fracking one I kind of get to an extent.
I get it, but it still fucking works.
Because of location, mostly.
Yeah, well, it's the impact in the local environment that you have to worry about.
Exactly. I think it's a developing thing. Perhaps at given time it might improve, who knows. And I can't be asked for the rest of this, by the way. I just can't be asked. I'm sorry. This is actually...
It's okay. It's fucking bullshit.
It's boring me so badly. I
This is why British politics is hard.
It's hard on this one because we don't have the characters. We have the B team, and the B team lack any and all charisma and energy.
Well, I mean, look at all the people with phones out.
Yeah, and this is coming from the guy who's probably one of the most boring people on YouTube. You know, if I think it's boring, dear God, it's just tragic. Before we finish, is there anything you would like to shill?
Not really, but hey, my channel is in the description box down below.
Subscribe.
Please.
I have nothing to shill. I'm going to be streaming on Sunday, I guess. And there'll be a Moist Ski Reads on Monday from H.P. Lovecraft's What the Moon Brings. Yeah, that's what Penny's working on for me. The visual.
Very good.
Anyway, do you want to say goodnight, Trups?
Yes. Good night, Trups.
Enjoy your moonshine, Trups.